when I started flying chopper, there was a guy in the club that used to help me, and he made a very interesting statement. He used to say that flying your chopper is 90% machine, 10% pilot. At the time I could not understand what he was trying to tell me, but as the years progressed and I started flying choppers more and more, I then started to fully understand what he meant. And what he was trying to say was that if your chopper setup is not correct, there is no way that you're going to enjoy your chopper or even be able to fly it properly. Today I would like to very briefly go through the very basic standard setup that you need to do the chopper, and further down the line we will actually make another movie that will give you a better in-depth view of how to set up your chopper. So let's start from the bottom and we move upwards to your head. So when you do your setup, you will always start at the servo and move upwards into the head. Okay, so there's one very big basic rule that you have to remember when you install your chopper, and the very basic rule is everything 90 degrees. I will explain that as we go along, and then you'll see what I mean by that statement. Okay, so the very first little part that we're going to give attention to is your servo. So I'm just going to change the scene a little bit, and then I'll show you what is important to look at the servo side of things. Okay, the first thing that we have to do is find a horn that will fit the servo properly at the 90 degree angle. Okay, for this I normally use the Turnigy servo tester that you can find on the Wi-Fi site, which works very, very well. I've got a battery, and then obviously the servo that I want to install in my helicopter. Okay, so now I'm going to explain to you what I mean by finding the right horn for the servo. So I'm just going to connect all these up, and then we'll talk further from there. Okay, so I've connected up my servo tester, and as you can see, it's on the setting where you can manual change the servo position. What I wanted to do is I would like to have the servo tester put my servo in the neutral position. Right, now I've got 4 horns here. I normally have a huge box of horns so I can test. What you want to do now is find the horn that fits the servo at the best at a 90 degree angle that will suit your chopper. Oh, that one does not look too bad. And you continue until you find the best horn for the job. Also remember, sometimes turning the horn around 90 degrees or 180 degrees sometimes do make a difference. Okay, so you continue like this until you find the horn which fits the best at a 90 degree angle. As you can see, this horn here fits pretty nicely. Okay. And that's what I mean by fitting your servo horn at a 90 degrees. Why is it important to fit your servo horn at 90 degrees? Because you want all your servo horns to be 90 degrees. If the one was up and the other one was down, your swash plate would actually move, I don't know how you call it. It would not move levelly up and down, but it would actually swish from side to side, which means is if you would give cyclic, instead of going straight up, on the chopper going straight up, it would veer to one side or to the other, forwards or backwards. So this is one of the things that you need to that you need to sort out. If you do not get a horn that's very or close to center, that's fine. Get it as close as possible, and then use your radio's subtrim to just center the servo. But very importantly, the horn of the servo needs to be 90 degrees. Beware though that not to trim too much. So if you find that you have to do your subtrim too much on the radio, rather go through your box, find a different horn, make it fit better. Right. Now you've done your servo. Your servo horn is now at 90 degrees when your servo is finding a signal and is centered on that signal. Okay, now you go upwards into the head. Now I'm just going to move this chopper away now, and I'm going to take a loose rotor head there, and then I'm going to try and explain to you very briefly on the different things that you need to notice when setting up your head. Right, for our example, I've taken the rotor head of a HK600 Heli, like the one you'd find on the Wi-Fi website. And there's a couple of things that I just want to show you. Okay, so the first thing that you've done now, as I've explained earlier on, is that you've leveled your swash plate using these little arms, link arms that you've got here. So with these arms that you normally level the swash plate. That's normally the first thing that I do, because if you need to move the swash plate up or down, you do that by changing all the different arms simultaneously. The next thing that you want to do is that your washout control arms, I'm just going to turn it a little bit for you. You want to have your washout control arms be at a 90-degree angle like that. So you don't want it like that or like that. Now, for those of you that didn't see the movie on the head names, this little arm here is your washout control arm. So this arm that you see there is your washout control arm. And you want that arms to sit more or less in that position. And as you can see, there's a 90-degree angle between your radius arm and your washout control arm. Okay, so it's very important that that's the next step that you want to do. To do that, you might want to lengthen or shorten your links from the servo to your swash plate. And what you would do there is, if you give this one twist out, you give the next one twist out, and the next one twist out, and that way your head would actually stay level. For those of you that's wondering how you get your head level, there are different head leveling tools that you can use that will help you, or you get specialized tools that levels your head for you. Right, now the next thing that you need to be aware of is that your washout base needs to be in the middle of the travel of your helicopter. On this specific head, it changes from helicopter to helicopter, but on this specific head, you don't want it to touch right at the top, okay, against the rotor hub. You actually want it to stop about, I'd say about 1 to 2 millimeters below that. Okay, so between 1 and 2 millimeters below that, and I'd say just as it reaches the bottom of the pin that centers the washout control base, you need to find the center there. Now, very important, should you find the center and see that your washout control arm is not level, so in other words, it's standing like that or it's standing like that, what you would do is just lengthen these little arms that goes to your flybar control rods. Now, when you lengthen these arms, you might need to shorten the servo arms. So it becomes a bit of a play between lengthening, shortening, lengthening between these two rods that you find there. Once you've got your washout control arms at a 90-degree angle, you would then continue on to level your pitch control arms that sits here on the flybar seesaw. Okay, these arms, as you can see, as I move the head up and down, they control the pitch on your blades. Now, what you want to do is, if your swash plate is in the center of its travel and your washout control arms are 90 degrees, you want these arms to be 90 degrees, and in turn, the pitch on your rotor blades must be 0 then. Okay. Now, to set the 90 degrees on that pitch control arm, you would have to set the link length that runs from your swash plate up towards your pitch control arm. Okay, it's quite a long link. It's one of the longer links in the rotor head. Okay. Then to get your pitch as 0, there's a small little link on the side here that you would use to set the link as 0. But normally, if you've got your settings correct in the head, they're pretty close from the box. Just a little bit of setting is normally necessary. Okay. So that is just the very basic setup on your head, what you want to look at. In our next movie, what we're going to do is we are going to do a bit more specific. I'm going to take a helicopter carcass and we are going to do a setup step by step. from the servos right through to the top of the head.
Take me up, baby.